Yeah.
Welcome to the Two Guys Show on the EdReach Network for the second time tonight. We're going to give this a go, giving educators a big voice on January 28th, episode number 21. I am Drew Minnock, and I am your host. You can find me on Twitter at TechMinnock or at our blog on Two Guys and Some iPads. So, Brad, my co-host as always, let's see if this will work a little bit better.
All right, hi everyone. Thanks for joining us on the EdReach Network tonight for the Two Guys Show, episode 21, on this frigid cold day in January. I am Brad Wade. You can find me on Twitter at TechBradWade. You can also find us on twoguysomeIPads.com for our blog, and you can check us out on Instagram as well. As Drew mentioned, and if you saw the intro a few minutes ago, we are delighted and pleased to have our superintendent of Bloomfield Hills Schools, Rob Glass. So, Rob, it's nice to see you. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yes, thank you,
Brad. Good to see you, Drew. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, well, we appreciate you joining us when we know that you got to be up early to make decisions on this crazy weather. So thank you for staying up and joining us.
Hey, my pleasure. 3 a.m., no big deal.
No big deal, right? Hey,
Yeah,
Drew,
right.
real quick, we're getting some tweets. I think you're in a better position. Can you tweet out the link again?
I just did. Just sent out the tweet for the new link.
Okay.
I'm about to send it out on Facebook as well for anyone who would like to join us tonight for the show. So,
all right, I'm going to jump on it too right now. So because I know.
Yes, definitely join us tonight with the hashtag the number 2 Guys Show. Tweet questions and responses to us, and we'll try to answer as many questions as we can as we go through. But I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Let's dive right into it, huh?
Yeah, let's make sure we use that hashtag 2GuysShow. My lower third, my custom one's not working tonight, so we're just going to go without it. So, all right, so, so Rob, real quick, before we get into the questions, can you just kind of give a little 1 minute, 2 minute overview of you and your job, about what you do in your position in Bloomfield Hills Schools?
Sure, I'll give it a shot. Well, I'm the superintendent, which means I'm kind of like the conductor, in an orchestra. That's how I look at it. I've been here about 3.5 years, going into 4, and have been really interested in changing the learning model to something that matches the future a little bit more than what we've been doing over the last number of years. And part of that's been technology. You guys have been part of that revolution, and a lot of others have come along for the journey. So it's been really exciting. And we've been also building a new high school with some new spaces that are going to allow us to teach and learn in totally different ways, and remodeling some of our schools, too, elementaries and middles, to do the same thing. So it's been a really fun time.
It's been busy. I know you've been busy just gutting middle schools and redoing them, and then everything with the high school. It's been wild. I know that. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, sledgehammer, just give me a sledgehammer. I like the demo part. That's the fun.
Absolutely. Well, Rob, we've been in your corner. I've been in your corner since you came in, and that's why we're really excited to have you. It was nice to have your leadership and regime come in, because, I've been here long enough to have had a few superintendents, and, I think teachers sometimes get the impression that, depending on your superintendent in your district, that they're not reachable. You definitely break that mold. You are so reachable, and I remember, I appreciated, over a year, a little over a year and a half ago, I just asked you for a sit down because I had gotten maybe it was 2.5 years ago. I don't remember when, but I had just got my first iPad for my classroom, and I just remember how excited I was, and this was before Drew even got there yet, and I didn't even know what to do, so I just said, hey, I want to talk to the superintendent, and so I reached out to you. And you responded, you opened up, and it almost feels like we've been working on a lot of things together. I mean, you're doing a great job with the district. When it comes to the ed tech piece, it really just seems like you've opened your door to listen to not only myself and Drew, but a lot of people in the district, and that's why we have you on tonight. We want to hear about your vision and stuff like that. So thank you.
Yeah, that's great. No, I've enjoyed trying to have an open flow of communication. And, using some of the social media tools, obviously. I know early on when I first got here, I did a lot more with video casts and stuff, and I'm planning to get back to some of that because it was really effective and really fun. But, yeah, I remember the first time you and I had a real good conversation, I think, was at a McCall conference, and you were showing me a video, a learning video game that you had developed for the iPad. And I was blown away. I'm like, who is this guy, and how come I don't know about this, man?
Rob, I forgot. We met.
That?
It was 2 years ago, McCall, And yeah, I saw you. We were walking around. I showed you the app I made for my classroom. Yeah, the map app, which was I remember. I was so pleased. You bought it for 99 cents when we had lunch together. I thought that was,
Tokens.
I did.
I thought that was really cool. That's right. So,
that's hilarious.
It's cool, though.
Thank you.
But it shows you don't know what's out there. You don't know the. I think one of the things I've tried to do, because I just believe in it, and I know you all do too, is you got to find. Everybody's got something inside of them. They've got some vision, some dreams, some greatness. Students and teachers and everybody, and you got to know where it is and what it is, so that you can help people let it out. I mean, that's what you guys have done, and it's been really fun to watch and almost like a dream. Just watching how the trajectory of all you've learned and all you've done. It's been really cool. Inspiring.
Thank you. We really appreciate that, and I'll never forget when we were asked by Lori McCarty and Christine DiPilato to present to the administration, and we were like giddy, weren't we, Brad? Oh man, we were so giddy to present, just kind of share what we were doing, and just to kind of see kind of everyone's kind of response. And man, we couldn't have been more excited about the response, and then to get down and sit down with you guys and just to kind of see what your vision is. And so can you share that vision of just kind of what you vision technology to be in schools, and just kind of how important that is?
Yeah, what I'm learning is that, gosh, I don't even know where to start. My vision with technology has changed all the time. It's changed in the last few months. It just keeps changing. At first, I think it was in 2007, 2008, when I was becoming familiar with social media, Facebook and things on a personal level, and Twitter, I could see the power of that coming into the classroom, and I always tried to help and support, that and grow that knowledge base among teachers and encourage them to take a risk. But I think that, now it's the power of not just social tools and apps and the advent of the iPad and, all that sort of thing, mobile devices of all kinds and tablets, but also just the ability to be wired and connected, wirelessly at any time, and to see where that takes you. And then lately what I've been thinking about is, the ability of all this stuff to allow the staff to work differently and for us to teach and learn differently with Google Docs and those kind of apps. That's kind of where my head's been lately. So it's kind of hard to encapsulate all of it, but I think the thing that I'm realizing overall is that you've got to look for the places where these tools can make learning fulfill your mission, right, which is to ignite passion and fuel dreams and make learning personal as much as possible for students. And when you find people who know how to do that, then you want to create a personal learning network within the district and scale that up and let people get to know where they can go through tools like this and other means to share that knowledge. And then that knowledge base grows and it becomes just part of your culture. Because really what you want to do with technology is have a great learning experience, right? You want the teaching and learning experience to be dynamic, and you want it to be personal. And I think that's what technology allows us to do like nothing else. And the way I would have thought of that 5 years ago, 6 years ago, is different than the way I think about it now, because the tools are changing all the time. You guys are helping us, learn the possibilities, explore the boundaries. You're on the bleeding edge, and it's really cool because you're informing the rest of us, with what you're learning.
Yeah, we're definitely trying to learn as much as possible at all times, and we definitely have a lot of fun doing it. That's for sure. I don't think anyone that meets us has any doubt that Brad and I have a lot of fun doing what we do and exploring the possibilities and just kind of how we can use this technology as a tool to really just take another level, knock down the walls of our classroom and make the experience that much deeper for each person. And like you said, kind of fuel that passion and create dreams with it. We have a lot of fun doing it.
Absolutely. And for those of you just joining us, I know there's some lag on the feed, so if you're just joining us, we're with Rob Glass, the superintendent of Bloomfield Schools, on Two Guys Show. Rob, we keep coming back, and I'm going to say this all night. I'm so glad you're with us tonight because, even just the stories we're talking about now, these are all major points about when we've gotten together and the things we've seen. What I want to ask you about is, because you and I have had these conversations a lot. You stopped in my room one night. We had a big, long conversation on the new high school. I'd like to share with our audience kind of the vision that you kind of shared with me about the new workspaces in the high school and how you're looking at you have this beautiful opportunity. You
Right.
put out this bid to get the new high school, and you got it. It was a lot of work. People that don't know behind the scenes, it was many, many, many years coming. And maybe that was just the way it was meant to be, because now you got a clean slate, and with your view and your leadership and your passion with how to truly engage students for this 21st century learning and help encourage the teachers to teach in a new way, to deliver things or facilitate learning.
Right.
We've talked about these learning spaces and incorporating a little bit of everything into it. Usable space, ergonomics, comfort, collaboration, along with technology. Can you just kind of share a little bit about that? Because I want people to hear kind of what you're looking at and how you want to use these spaces.
Sure. Yeah. Well, the world we live in, we don't work the same way that we worked years ago, and everybody realizes that. I mean, we're working in project teams. No one's got all the answers, and so we're trying to create an environment where the learning is deeply owned by the students, and the technology tools are helping them explore their passions or complete a really difficult and challenging real-world project. And so to do that effectively, you really need spaces that look like the universities they're going to be entering, or spaces that look like the places they're going to be working in. And so, yeah, these are not rows, a straight hallway with classrooms of 25 by 25 on each side.
Right.
These are modern, irregularly shaped, comfortable spaces with comfortable furniture, with movable walls, with lines of sight, so small groups and large groups, teachers can monitor, who needs to do what and where they are. So if a small group needs to be working over in a small group, a glass room doing a project, they can be over there doing that and independently, and they'll have tech tools at the ready. They'll have the ability to charge. They'll have state-of-the-art wireless. They'll have displays available. They'll have networked displays available. They'll have everything they need to really collaborate, share, and move work. And of course, putting them all on a cloud platform for sharing the work. And for turning in work on a piece of paper, I mean, those days are gone, really, because now it's going to be just a shared document that gets moved into a folder. And and of course, being able to work around the clock, wikiing stuff together. I mean, that's going to be that's what they're doing now already. And so what we're able to do then is be project-based. So we want teams of teachers and teams of students to work together so the relationships are deepened. I think that's the really big thing. Put the technology kind of aside for a moment. I mean, learning now really is about relationships, virtual relationships, face-to-face relationships, global relationships, local relationships. And when all that happens, space can really enhance that because it sets a tone for flexibility, a tone for comfort, a tone for that allows you to move and group and interact in ways that you need to do as a learner. And so really not, teachers in this school are not going to own a room. You'll have about 6 or 8 teachers and about 150 to 200 students in a zone and different rooms of different shapes and sizes. That team will decide what's going to happen that day or that week or that month, who's going to use the spaces to accomplish what. So if it's project-based and you need to get messy, there's a room for that. Or there's a series of rooms for that. If you need quiet study space or small group space, there's a place for that. If you need a lab, there's places for that to take place too. But it's all very flexible, it's all very fluid, and you can accomplish a lot that way. So I know I've said a lot, but it's really hard to describe it, but it's really going to be different. It will not be what we've come to call cells and bells. It'll be a modern, flexible, work-like environment. And we're hoping to do away with the bell schedule. I'm hoping we're able to sort of do that, or at least minimize it, so that learning can take as long as it needs. And part of that has to do with how we organize, the daily schedule in a way that's flexible.
That is awesome. That is exciting. I'll tell you what, that's sweet. Brad, let's go over to the high school and hang out for a little while. Holy cow.
Drew, I'm not kidding. So Rob, there's 2 things I want to touch base. Those of you who are joining us, we're with Superintendent Bloomfield Hills Schools, Rob Glass. You can find him on Twitter. Look at our blog. You can get information right now. Rob, there's 2 things you mentioned there there's 2 things I want to talk about. One thing you said, it's about relationships, and I think Drew may be gone. Drew, you still there?
I'm here.
Okay, Rob, are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay, all right. Then my camera's just being a little silly, but that's all right. Okay, so two things I want to talk about. One thing, I see you now. Rob, you mentioned relationships. Drew and I have this conversation all the time, and Randy English, the principal over at Bloomfield Hills Middle School, people from the show know he's a good friend of mine, and he's doing amazing things as well. Another great administrator. Relationships. I know this is ed tech, but we're also talking about just education in general.
Right.
The vision for this high school, you talked about the relationships. That's the future of learning and working together. I mean, that's a global idea right there. So, can you just elaborate a little bit on the relationship part and how you see why it's so important into learning?
Yeah, it's kind of wrapped up in the work. There's been a lot of research done, and I think we know it by experience too, but Linda Darling-Hammond is someone we've been studying a little bit on small school environments. And if you look at what we do, we have a program called the Model Program, here too, that has tried and worked successfully on these ideas. And really what it comes down to is when you are invested, when you are a co-creator, when you own the learning, and you have some self-determination and some efficacy in what you're doing as a student, I believe, and that's reflected in what we call our 10 guiding principles, that you're going to take your learning to a whole new level. Why? Because it matters to you. Because it means something to you and to your society. It's real. So it's not just imposed upon you as something I have to do. And I think in the 20th century we saw a lot of that. And we still see it in the standards movement and No Child Left Behind and the testing movement. The byproducts of all that stuff, although well-intended, it's tell me what I need to do. And so as a teacher, you become conditioned to say, well, okay, here's my syllabus, here's what I've got to do, or here's my program, and I'm going to set up everything in a controlled environment, and we're going to get through it, and at the end, you're going to tell me what you learned, and mainly it's going to be around content, maybe some application, and you know what? It doesn't work. I don't believe it works. It's not how we should be doing stuff, because we miss out on that ownership and those relationships.
So true.
And so when you are part of a community, you feel commitment, right, to that project, to the success of it, and you dive deeply. So some of these things that we look at, like think about students and adults even, who are invested in a hobby, or maybe a video game world, World of Warcraft or something, right?
Right.
They're invested in it. That matters to them. But in the learning, in school, well, we have to put that aside because that's not learning. And I say it is learning. And school has to reflect that. And so the relationships allow you to draw that out of students. And really it all starts with respect and getting to know people deeply and then getting vulnerable. I've been listening to some TED Talks by Brene Brown, who really talks about vulnerability. And when you can be authentic and be yourself, man, your learning just goes way up. And you take it with you forever and you retain it longer. So, relationships are key. And you can do it with and without technology. The technology, I believe, just is a boost, a help, a tool, to get there.
Absolutely. Having those relationships, especially when you're talking about kind of how the model of the new high school is going to be working in groups and the projects and even the teachers and teams. And, once you build those deep relationships, you kind of feel that, just the work ethic and everything, it really means something to everybody. Not just the work, but the relationship itself. So you don't want to let that person down by not doing your part of the deal type of thing. So those relationships just help motivate you even more to really dive into the content and create, and I think that's something we talk about a lot, is not just this regurgitation of information, and it's not an era where, not that any era should be like this, but it's not just let's get them to remember more stuff, and that's it's not remembering more stuff, let's create things, let's be innovative, and I think that's our job at the elementary level to start doing that now, get them creating and trying to be innovative and things like that,
And one thing, Rob, like we're talking about the high school, and but as you know and our viewers know, Drew and I are at the elementary level, and when we go out on the road and we're talking to people, one of our things, and Drew has phrased this, and I always just share this piece. We always get on our soapbox, and one of the lasting impressions we're always talking about is we're trying to help students learn the love of learning.
Bingo.
Our job.
Learners, and Rob, I have been in your meetings, and our audience needs to know, you've said this pretty much, look, all the answers are right here. If you need to know who sculpted the Mount Rushmore, you've got it in a few seconds. That's just getting information now. But doing project-based learning and making you use this authentic learning. That's a big difference. That's real world. And so, like, you know, Drew and I go out, like, we believe, you know, even at the youngest level, part of our job is not only just educating, but getting them to learn the love of learning, to where it doesn't matter what situation they're in, that they're open and excited to learn something. Then it's about facilitating tools and research and collaboration and groups and everything else that you've already addressed. So, you know, it's a wonderful model. And the second part I wanted to talk about was, yeah, as you know, Rob, I have 3 kids, and Drew knows this. Keegan Wade is my oldest, and by the way, he would like to interview you one day, Rob, this school year.
Awesome.
He would like to. He said, "Can you ask Mr. Glass?" I said, "You know what? I think it'd be more powerful from you." So, but he wanted to tweet you the other night. He would like to sit down with you and just kind of have a back and forth from a high school perspective, because he's been talking to me. I said, "That's great information. He would love to hear that." So, anyway, we'll talk that off the air. But the reason I bring my kids up is because Keegan, he went through the school system, K through 12, had a great experience. But I also have a 7th grader and a 1st grader, and you know, our audience has heard about, you know, they know your vision. Rob, I've bragged on you so many times about on the show and where we go. That's why I'm saying I was glad to have you. But I people that don't know, I'm also a parent and I'm a community member.
Right.
I live here. So I have a dual perspective. I'm on the inside living it, but I'm also concerned and interested about my kids. So I just want to say I'm excited for my children, because, you know, I've said this everywhere I go. I love the leadership and where we're going. So that inspires me in the classroom. So when I wrote that article about who inspires me, you were on there, because you inspire me not only in the classroom but as a parent and a community member, because now I see that we're going the right way, and I know my kids are going to be in good hands, and I know we want to continue that.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, you can't see it. I'm here in my office, and I've got a little wooden plaque that says Inspire, and it's my reminder every day. That's one of my main jobs. It's what you guys do, you know, and it's that reciprocity, that mutual inspiration. We got to do that for each other once in a while. You know, sometimes I think we think of all the technical things that have to get done, and you know, the day-to-day, the run-of-the-mill, the emergencies, the mundane. But man, we got to inspire each other too to some new things. That's where that extra stuff comes from. That makes the difference, that moves us forward, you know. So yeah, once in a while, I hope to inspire, and I know you guys do it all the time, and sometimes we don't even know the effect that we have, but it's important. It is.
Yeah,
I agree. And I remember at the opening day, not opening day, but it was like the new teacher orientation. This is my 2nd year of the district, but I had to go because I got hired on right at the end last year.
Oh, wow.
And I'll tell you what, I left there hearing you speak that morning, and I went back, I told Brad, I'm like, I'll tell you what, he just gets it.
That's what
Rob,
he said?
He just gets it. He understands the philosophy of education, just kind of how it should be. You know, and I left, I was so pumped. I'll tell you, and starting back to school, there's a lot of teachers that probably aren't too pumped to get going, but man, I was fired up that day, I'll tell you. It's exciting. It's fun stuff. I really like the way that it's just exciting to be part of kind of a change in culture, it sounds like, from, you know, since you took over, and just the direction that the whole community is going, and it's just really exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a guy named Peter Drucker. He's a real famous, you know, author about business culture and leadership and stuff, and he has this quote that I love. He says, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." You know, and it's just
that's
so true.
Strategies, and we live in a manufacturing land here, right? We're in Metro Detroit, and you know, we got a lot of people who work in automotive, and you know, you have to be highly organized and highly prepared, and you have to have strategy. We have strategy here. If you go on our website, you're going to see strategy, strategic report. But the fact is, if you don't have a culture that's vibrant and alive and reinventing itself and challenging itself and recreating and inspiring, then you're not going to get the benefit. You know, you just have kind of the mechanics, and I think you have to have both. And if you've got both going on all cylinders, look out.
So true.
Yeah.
It's interesting because you speak about culture, but you know, culture gets fixed. People can walk in and get a culture in a matter of moments. You know, some cultures encourage you to speak out. Some cultures can, you know, encourage you to conform, and you know, you figure things out. So like, it's interesting. People that maybe not have thought about this. It's easier to implement a strategy it's harder to change a culture because a culture takes the masses. And so, like, when you're that one out there, like, one of the things Drew and I say is we talk about, like, we're talking emerging technologies, we're talking a lot of progressive ideas and stuff, and we always talk about our crowd and our audience tonight. They're the early adopters. They're the ones ready for change. They're ready, like you, open to it. We say, well, when you go back to your buildings, you got to be careful because everybody's not there. So we always talk about a +1 model.
Right.
You do it, and then get that +1. Bring that next person, and then build on the +1 model. So what I mean, it's almost like a grassroots. Really, you got to kind of go from where you are and just kind of keep building up. But we're lucky we get a grassroots, but we also have it from the top down. So we're pretty fortunate. I
mean, that's really how it comes, right? You set the tone, and you've got to let people fail a little bit. You got to let them try. And you can't whack people when they try. I use this saying a little bit, it's a common saying, but ask forgiveness, not permission. Just go and go and do it. And if you're out of bounds, or we got to rein it in, we'll figure it out, right? But nothing ventured, nothing gained. I mean, if you want an innovative culture, and especially education, right now from the feds and the state, it's sort of like don't screw up, right? It's right. You better get a good score. Your scores better be there, or your school's going to be in trouble, right? Your principal's going to be in trouble, and your superintendent's going to be in trouble, and you're going to be evaluated out, and all that stuff. I mean, these growth scores and measures, it's become such a metrics thing, and I'm a believer in big data to a point because it gives you some feedback, but when it becomes like that, it drives you in this conservative, play it safe, I'll just say boring, kind of direction of compliance, right? And that is the opposite of innovation. So, sometimes it's the +1 and it's saying, hey, go get it. Go get it, and we got your back. And if it doesn't work, we'll figure out why and we'll move on to the next thing. So it's not extreme experimentation. I don't want parents thinking, hey, we're just wildly experimenting. But in a static, established thing is known as K-12 ed, you have to push really hard to get any movement. And so we have to really, we have to change deliberately that messaging and say, go forth and innovate, and here's what we try to paint a picture with our vision, our mission, our guiding principles. And as people move in that direction, we have to support that and cheer that on. And you guys have been, again, a big part of that, and so have others. It's been really cool. And that way, at least, we get some movement in the right direction.
Absolutely. And there's a book that I heard of from Karen Averill, who's leading the 21st Century cohort in the district that I'm a part of, called Switch, How to Change When Change is Hard, by Chip and Dan Heath. And we just got a few copies of it over at Eastover that I plan on checking out after I'm done with Dan Pink's Drive. But that is just the little bit that she read to us during that. It's just so true. And, it sounds like a great book on how to really talk about that, because change is not easy.
No.
For a lot of people. They're used to those normal routines and just kind of everything they've done. But you know what? The students have changed. The world has changed so fast, and you kind of have to change with it right now. Otherwise, you're going to be lagging behind. And it's that not everyone's comfortable with it, but kind of
Rob,
taking the steps to get them there.
So there's two things I want to say. One is, like, I wrote that down. That might be one of the most brilliant quotes, and I don't even know if you really meant to just, like, say it and quote it, but you just said, go forth and innovate. I think that is so to the point and beautiful. So I may steal that from you. I will give you credit when I use it.
Use it, because I probably stole it from someone. Yeah.
But go forth and innovate. That is just beautiful. I mean, it's great. Well, I forgot the second thing I was going to say, but I'll get back to it. I got stuck on that one.
I got a question, Rob. How do you see kind of the technology kind of impacting education system just from here going forward? I know we touched on it a little bit between the workspaces and cloud-based and everything like that, but how do you kind of just see it kind of impacting education going forward in the future?
I don't know that I can speak to it broader. You two could speak to it probably better, because you're fresh out there and rubbing shoulders with the foremost thinkers on this. But I can speak to what I see here in the at Bloomfield Hills Schools. What I'm seeing is is we're moving in mass everybody into the cloud, into collaborative tools. And I think what I'm starting to see is, if you had asked me a few months ago, trying to go one-to-one, okay, in our middle schools and high schools, and proliferate the use of devices to innovate, as you have all been experimenting, I'm tempering now my thinking about the need for one-to-one, because as we've done the research, first of all, once we can beef up the wireless, which isn't cheap, because what we've got for wireless is only a few years old and it's end of life already. So we're looking at a lot of money, and we've got to have a good infrastructure, a reliable infrastructure, to get out to the web. But in addition to that, when I think about devices, even though they're coming down, when you start talking about mass purchases, pretty soon that becomes unsustainable. And so what I'm seeing is if we can, part of the reason that I always wanted one-to-one was not so much just for the students, but to get staff teaching differently, so that they could see that they could rely on a wireless network, they could rely on tools that they were familiar with, and they could move information, documents, and stuff that's being created in apps, seamlessly and easily, and their familiarity would change the way that they work, right? Mm-hmm. Because right now they don't have a standard kit of parts that they can rely on in the ways that we need them to in every case. But if you're using a suite like Google Docs, now it's platform agnostic, truly, right? And so you start moving the work differently, whether that student's on a BYOD situation, or whether that student has a Droid tablet, or whether that student has a an iPad mini, or whether that student's working on a Dell laptop or a Chromebook. It may not matter, right? Because it becomes more asynchronous. The teacher's less worried about doing it right here, right now in class. And if that student has a device or doesn't, and they're working in a collaborative group, they can go home and make the adjustments in real time on whatever presentation, app, etc. that they're working on. And I think that's going to shift teachers' perceptions. So I think moving to the cloud for us is going to be a big game changer. Certainly we want lots of devices, but if we can't afford a pure one-to-one, I'm thinking that that may become an obsolete notion, actually. I may be wrong, but that's kind of what I'm thinking currently. So I think changing the way we work as adults, because the students are already doing it, and when we're all on the same platform using the same tools, I think we're going to find different ways of doing things.
I know we've been talking about that as we're kind of switching over the whole district slowly to getting over to the Google Docs and getting everything and set for that. And Brad and I are totally geeked, and we can't wait till it's fully implemented and we can really start diving in using all the different tools that Google has to offer in that. And we love devices. I probably like devices and tools more than probably anybody. But Brad gives me grief all the time about this. As I walk around the conference yesterday with a little robot sphere. Oh, I've got iPad mini over here. I've got iPad over here. But that's beside the point. The fact is that it doesn't matter what device you have. It's what you're doing with that device. What are you creating? How are you using it to be innovative? And I think you're completely on par with having the adults. They have to kind of be on board, because Brad, you say it all the time. The students are there. They're doing it. This is what the way they live. So getting the adults and the teachers kind of on board and doing it that way is really important.
Yeah, changing workflow is really for the adults, enables them to see how they can teach and learn differently and change the workflows for the students and let go. They got to let go. There needs to be if you're going to not standardize that everybody's doing the same thing at the same time, because you used to have to do that. Now you don't. And when the workflow changes, I think your whole paradigm can start to shift. I know it has with me, because we've been using Google Docs internally here with the administrators I work with day-to-day in the central office. We don't send attachments anymore. In just a couple weeks, in 6 weeks' time, we're just changing the way we run meetings. We're changing the way we do workflow, and we're thinking, okay, I can see how you'd run a classroom completely differently based on this. So I think that's going to generate some ideas. And of course, you guys with augmented reality and some of the specialized apps you're using, we're always going to need those. And I think we can provide critical masses of devices for those. But we can do a lot just with any old device, I think.
Yeah, that's one thing Drew talks about a lot is in our presentations when we're out on the road. He's like, you know what? It really, it really doesn't matter what device you have. We're talking about learning, and you know what? It's going to continue to change and stuff. It's not always, it may be an iPad, it may be a Chromebook, it may be a Surface or whatever. that aside, it's just talking about transforming the culture of learning, so, and changing that whole culture. But we're gonna jump on in just a minute. Before we move on, I want to put this out there. If there are other educators, administrators, superintendents, whatever, that would like to get in touch with Rob Glass, please, we're going to give his information out at the end of the show. If you like what he's sharing and information he's saying, please contact him. You can go through the show notes or whatever. But
yeah, follow him on Twitter. That's for sure. Definitely follow him on Twitter. I've tweeted his handle out a few times, so that'd be the best place. Jump on there.
Absolutely. So, all right. So, hey, Rob, before we move on to the other couple segments of the show, is there anything that we may have missed or something you just want to make sure we get in before we transition to the next couple segments?
Man, I think we've kind of covered the waterfront. I'm just excited to be here, guys. So, yeah, take it away. Move wherever you want to, because I think I've said more than enough.
Well, no, you know what, Rob? I don't know if you've got the feed going on Twitter, but the feed's very active tonight.
Yes.
There is so much chatter tonight. The people watching are really into the show, and it's great. They love what you're saying and what we're all talking about, the culture and the learning and the transformation of education and everything. So, all right. So, well, one thing before we go on to the shout-outs, Drew and I are going to FETC next week to represent Bloomfield Hills. We are actually flying out tomorrow, heading down to Florida. We had a great meeting with Rob and the other people in the administration last spring, I believe.
Yep.
And this was a conference we all looked at and agreed this would be a good one if we could get in to go do it. So thank you to Rob and Bloomfield Hills Schools and our administration and our principal and everybody else for helping us with that. So we'll be leaving tomorrow and we'll be down in Florida. So thank you.
Good luck with that. Exciting.
Yeah, we're excited to escape the cold. That's one thing.
Picked a great time to go.
Yeah, didn't we?
We got lucky.
I mean, Rob,
negative 31 wind chill this morning. I think you picked a great time to go. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Well, we're talking with Rob Glass, superintendent of Bloomfield Hills Schools. Let's go ahead and move on to our PLN Twitter shout-out. So, Rob, I think you said you had people already picked out, or whatever. You got the show notes and everything. This is your chance to kind of shout out anybody you like, whether on social media or whatever, just somebody that's doing some good things, and you just kind of want to give them a shout-out. And if you have their Twitter handle or something, go ahead and share that with people so we can put that in the show notes and the live audience can follow these people.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I was thinking about that a little bit, and there's somebody I've never had the chance to meet. You probably know him. I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing his name right, but an 18-year-old writer and was a student, and I think now probably is a recent graduate, and Nikhil Goyal. I think his Twitter, I don't even know what his Twitter handle is at the moment, but it's spelled Nikhil Nikhil Goyal or Goyal. He's such an inspiration. And I was captivated by a blog that he wrote, and he's done an amazing job. I think inspiring the kind of change we need in education. So I'd like to give him a shout out. He's been an inspiration. Of course, Will Richardson's been an inspiration. Kevin Honeycutt's been an inspiration. We've had those gentlemen out here, and you've been great to hook us up with them. And on TED, Brene Brown, really talking about authenticity and vulnerability, and some of the things that really aren't related directly to technology, but part of that learning environment. And what Brene Brown is kind of saying is, in this society where we expect everything to be perfect, where we expect performance, sometimes we shy away from that and we hide ourselves and we shut down because we don't want to be seen as less than. So we don't let we sometimes even in our society numb ourselves, right, with different vices, so that and the thing is, she said, you can't selectively numb. If you're compensating and you're not showing who you are, but letting the real you out, then everybody's missing the benefit of that. And so I think Brene Brown's been tremendous. She's done several TED Talks, and she really talks about authenticity. And then Linda Darling Hammond has been really helpful. So those are just a few. And you mentioned Drew, of course, Dan Pink, his book Drive, phenomenal. So some places I draw inspiration from, and you two are part of that as well. You're probably right at the top of the list. So I appreciate it, everything you're doing.
Well, thanks,
you.
Rob.
Thank you. That really means a lot.
Hey, Rob, quick visitor just popped in. Say
there
hi.
He is, Keegan. Hi. Yeah? All right, good to see you.
You guys are going to chat and you can set up that interview. All right, because we talked about it. So, all right, so he will,
all right.
will you send him an email or you want to tweet him? How are you going to contact him?
I'll email. I'll be old-fashioned.
He'll be old. He'll email you. So, okay, well, say bye to Mr. Glass.
All right, bye, guys.
Take care, Keegan. See you later.
See ya.
He's probably hoping he can send that email from home tomorrow with another cold day.
Did you hear that, Keegan?
It might not be happening, Keegan. Better get ready.
He said, yeah, that would be great, but Keegan already talked. We figured we think it's kind of a stretch at the moment, but we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to move on to my Twitter shout-outs. I've got 3. First one is to Miss Melamuka. She is a teacher, a co-teacher of ours, Brad, and it's MRSMELYMUKA. And she and another teacher, Megan Carlin, put together a live cooking show with their kindergarten class. And Rob, I know you stopped by there yesterday. I talked to her on the phone tonight.
Man. It was awesome.
Man, oh man, they are awesome. How cool is that you come in, they're Skyping with chefs from Gordon Ramsay's little entourage over there is sous chef, I believe it was, and they're bringing in local chefs to cook with the kindergartners and just trying to teach them healthy habits through our CHEW program. And big shout out to them and the kindergarten cooking show or the cooking cafe or whatever, kindergarten cafe I think is what it is or something.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'll tweet out their link to their blog and the video and stuff like that. Just an awesome thing that they're doing with their kindergarten classrooms. And if anyone has a chef out there or anything that can Skype in with their class, I know they would absolutely love that. So let's try and find somebody that can Skype in with the kindergarten Kinder Cafe and kind of teach them about cooking because they're going to be doing a weekly cooking show. So that's pretty cool. My next one is Tom Driscoll. I got a chance to do a Google Hangout with him last week, and what a great guy. He really just does a lot of awesome things in education. His Twitter handle is MR_DRISCOLL. So definitely give him a follow. And then someone we met yesterday, Ryan Randolph, who was doing an AR session and is really excited about augmented reality down there in Ohio. And that's MR_RANDOLPH, Ryan Randolph from yesterday. So that was those will definitely be my 3 shout-outs. So give those 3 a follow on Twitter because they're all doing amazing things, especially Miss Melamuka from our Eastover staff, who's just doing awesome things with the kindergarten classroom.
Absolutely. All right. Well, great shout-outs, Drew. I only have 3, but
wow.
Okay, really? If I were going to limit it to 3, I was going to mention Kevin Honeycutt because we got a chance to hang out with him at CMU, our dear friend. But since Rob brought him up, he's not only a friend of ours, a friend of the show, he's a friend of the district. He's come in, and Rob, that was one fantastic welcome back day, wasn't it?
That was incredible. I don't even know how to begin to universally blew us all away.
Yeah,
he always does.
Yep. So, and if I was only going to limit it to 3, I'd probably give Mark Osmond, our friend, a shout out. He's actually doing business in Orlando, and he's saving us cab fare from the airport to the hotel tomorrow night. So, Mark Osmond.
Thank you, Mark.
Yep, we're gonna catch dinner with him when we get into Florida. He's already down there. I got a text from him today. It was 75 degrees. Sorry for those of you in cold weather. You can find him on Twitter at MHOSMOND, MH Osmond. So shout out there. But all right, so apparently I really butchered Lauren Wink's Twitter handle last week.
Yes, she did, and she called you out.
Oh, did she? And it wasn't.
Oh, she just called him out. And then what did you do, Brad?
Oh, well, okay, Rob, so this is great. So not only did she call me out, she didn't, send me a DM or anything. She, publicly blew me up in Twitter in a fun way, but she's like...
It was funny.
You went out behind the woodshed, right?
Oh,
Yes.
I mean, took me behind the woodshed and let me have it. It was hilarious because she's like, watching the show, didn't get to watch it live. Oh, I got a shout out, so excited. And it's like, oh, and you got it wrong. Epic fail. I'm like, oh, no. I mean, it was funny. So I said, I blame Drew. But I didn't tag Drew in it, so he couldn't defend himself.
Yeah, I couldn't even defend myself. It was just my fault, apparently.
It was great. So, all right, so I'm gonna be very clear. Lauren Wink, she is at MS Lauren 3. I forgot the 3. Sorry, Lauren. So, and the cool thing was she was tweeting about the show tonight, and I know she said she was watching live. We'll see if she pops in my feed. She's been kind of quiet. So, Lauren, if you are watching live, I want you to give me a shout out back on Twitter, #2GuysShow. So that's Lauren. She's over in Chicago, and it's funny because I see her tweeting stuff about weather. She's like, oh, I don't know, it's Friday or maybe it was, oh no, it's for today, Monday night. She's like, we just closed for tomorrow. You guys closed? So anyways, so Lauren Wink, Paul Wagner, we talk about him. He's a big friend of the show.
Yep.
I want to make sure we give him his clear he is Paul Wagnerson. He's at P. Wagner, not Wagnerson's Wagner, Paul Wagner. P. Wagner CISD. Okay, so CISD. He's active tonight. He's always from the show. A lot of great people watching. Ted's always around. But I'm also going to give a shout to Randy English, that principal you've heard us talk about a lot of times. He's going to come on the show in the spring, Rob. I know he's doing some really cool stuff with PD over in his building.
Yeah.
And he's also another dynamic person that he's got a great message. He's got a great vision, and you guys have done a fantastic job of getting some great people in the district. So,
man, we're fortunate, and
absolutely.
we really are.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I can, I got one more shout out I'd love to give that I
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is a blog, and so these are 4 teachers at Bloomfield Hills High School who have embarked on a journey called Empowered Learning, and the name of the blog is BHHS Empowered Learning at blogspot.com. And so we've got these teachers have really, in fact, the post I saw tonight was 8 reasons why I don't care about test scores. But really what they've done is they're reflecting on their journey toward a standards-based grading, toward new ways of teaching and learning, toward the integration of technology, toward this modern learning concept. And so Mike Berry, Jennifer Teal, David Genvie, and Meredith Riggin are the 4 who are sharing that blog, and they're bearing their souls out there, and they're doing an amazing job of being living out loud as we were encouraged to do when Kevin Honeycutt was here. So I'm sure they would appreciate some feedback on their posts.
Awesome. That's great.
I'm tweeting that link out right now so everyone can go check it out.
All right. Apparently, I'm like an epic fail when I try to get these down. I'm better at mentioning names and letting people figure out what their handles are. All right, Paul. Sorry. I've heard Paul, P. Wagner, LCISD. Again, I blame Drew. I have so many text messages going off that he's telling me. No, I'm just kidding. No, Drew is doing a great job.
Oh, my gosh.
It's all on me, but I'll throw him under the bus later. But
you start a hashtag blame Drew, I think, right?
I think we've had.
Oh, here we go. Let's start a new hashtag.
The new hashtag, Todd and everybody out there, you heard it. The new hashtag blame Drew.
That is awesome.
All right, the first person who hashtags blame Drew is getting an epic shout out right now. #2GuysShow, hashtag blame Drew. We're gonna see how quick that comes in. That is fantastic. All right, so let's see.
So funny.
I think we're now ready to move on to.
Let's move on to the playlist, and I know Brad's favorite part of the show, so we'll let you, Rob, as our guest, lead us off with 3 songs from your playlist, or just 3 songs that you enjoy, or that you'd like to share.
Yeah, that's really tough, but you might be surprised at my musical taste. See, I have a son who's in a professional metalcore band, so I have to give him the first shout out. He just released a new video, and their band We Came as Romans released a CD, their 3rd CD recently on Equal Vision Records, and they have a song on there called Never Let Me Go. They work with producer John Feldman in California, and they just did a great job, and they just released a new music video for that. So that's on my iPod, of course, and It's kind of like what they call nu metal or metalcore, it's kind of melodic screamo, if there is such a thing. So my musical influences are more like our high school students probably, than somebody my age. But I've been enjoying 1,000 Foot Crutch, Be Somebody, and
That's a good song.
I'm going to encompass a lot here and just sort of cop out to the alternative channel on Pandora. That's been something I've been listening to a lot lately, and I'm noticing some shifts in the sound the last few weeks. It's been really good, so I'm enjoying that.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well,
Good
huge shout out to your son. The band is called We Came as Romans.
Yes, We Came as Romans. Mm-hmm.
That's the band. Awesome. So check out We Came as Romans, and then the song was Never Let Me Go. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Great stuff. Thanks for sharing. And all.
Very cool.
Thanks.
All right. Cool. Drew?
All right, I'm going to go back to maybe one of my favorite songs of all time. I was just going through iTunes today trying to figure out, 3 songs for the show, since I usually listen to like 97.1 The Ticket and Sports Talk Radio when I'm in the car. But Run by Snow Patrol. That is one of my favorite songs of all time, hands down. I love that song. It's phenomenal live, and I'm going to tweet out a link to a YouTube video that they when they performed it live, and they don't even need to sing a word because it is so loud that everyone there knows the word. It's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, you were telling me about that. That's very cool.
Run by Snow Patrol. Let It Go by Cavo is another band that probably not many people know about. They're out of St. Louis. And then Bruno Mars, Young Ladies. Brad, we were talking about this song in our
Girls.
our commute. Young Ladies.
No,
I
it's
looked
not.
it up. I looked it up.
No, it's not. It's Young Girls.
I'm going to
It's-
tweet the link out right now. I'm almost positive. If I got this wrong again,
Drew,
or
okay.
Brad,
All right. Do you remember dinner last night?
I'm looking. Give me
It's
a minute.
it's Young Girls. I can't believe it. Twice in a row? Really?
Hey,
Drew.
I'm looking.
You owe me huge props about being right at dinner last night when I'm right now. Right, Dave?
We'll see.
Come on.
I'm looking it up.
What are you
you
on
can
your
go ahead.
iPhone 1 or something? Come on, let's go.
You look up. You give it your shout outs out. I'll give me a minute.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So it's funny. These 3 songs. What? I was right. I knew it. I told you. I was right again. Okay, Rob.
Blame Drew. Hashtag blame Drew.
Blame Drew again. Drew was
Oh,
wrong
man.
again. We were at dinner last night, and we were talking. The OETC organizer was there, and Kevin was there, and Brenda was there, and Paul was there. We're all just kind of having dinner and talking, and something came up, and Drew was so strongly confident about something that was insignificant.
This rarely happens. I want everyone to know.
It's happening
That
more.
you're right and I'm wrong.
I was
But
right.
you picked that time to make a stand, right? You came out swinging, strong.
He did, and he goes, "I can't believe it if I'm wrong." And he was wrong last night. It was great. So I knew. I see the Bruno Mars song all the time. Like, I'm a visual learner. I saw it, and so I knew it was Young Girls. So when you said Young Ladies, I just corrected you, but you had to stay strong again. So what's the name of the song, Drew?
I'm not repeating it.
So it is Young Girls. Young Girls by Bruno Mars, which is not one of my 3, because I do only have 3. Do you have another one?
All right, we'll move on to your 3.
Are you done with your 3?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, these 3 all, I've seen them on satellite. I haven't listened to them on regular, but, man, this one that I just really enjoy is called Pumping Blood by No No No. All right, so check it out. Pumping Blood by No No No. It's a girl singing. It's really cool. And then this is another one that gets me fired up like Skywalker from Project Dirty. It's called Hell Yeah by Midnight Red. It's just, they just keep saying, hell yeah, like it's great. It's fun.
It's a great song.
It's, they say it in a nice way, I guess, if you can say
okay.
it.
Okay, cool.
And then Me, M-I by Cerebro. And if I'm not mistaken, it's 3 girls from Russia. And if you hear the song, you're like, oh yeah, I can hear that little accent in the background. So it's Me by Cerebro, M-I. And then just an update on our friends of the show. Like I mentioned last week, we actually have some rock stars that are friends of the show. Project Dirty, getting so close to finishing their album. They've been sharing some some of the songs with us. I was talking with Micah last night on the phone, and we actually rocked some of their songs that's coming up on their new album before both of our sessions yesterday. So you can see those on Twitter. You can see that on Instagram. You can see some of the video feeds. If you'd like to see what Drew and I were up to yesterday at the Ohio EdTech Conference, please check us out on Instagram. It's Two Guys Some iPads, all underscore. Check us out. There's some cool videos on there from yesterday. So, all right, Drew, anything we missed? Rob, anything we missed before we start signing out?
No, we're good, man. You guys, this show is awesome. Thanks for having me on. Really have enjoyed it. Go forth and innovate, man.
Our pleasure. So, Rob,
go forth and innovate. There you go.
Go forth and innovate. So, Rob, why don't you share the contact information that you have that you would like for people to get a hold of you? Twitter, email, whatever you'd like. Just how could someone get a hold of you?
Yeah, Twitter. My Twitter handle is at Glassr, GLASR333. And love to have you follow. Love to follow you on Twitter. That's a good one. I have a blog. It's robertjglass.com. robertjglass.com. You can go there, and you can have that set up to feed you as well. And here at the, you can always email me. My personal email is rglass333@gmail.com, rglass333@gmail.com, or here at Bloomfield Hills Schools, rglass@bloomfield.org.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And definitely head over to bloomfield.org. Awesome website that they redesigned the last year and a half. It looks great. So head on over to bloomfield.org to get a bunch of information about everything going on in our district as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that website is phenomenal. Really proud of it.
Yep, you should be. It gets a lot of good feedback and reviews. So thank you. All right, Drew, how can people connect with you? Are you on Twitter, Drew?
Every now and then I'm on Twitter. At TechMinoc. You can also, as always, find us on our blog at twoguysandsomeIPads.com. Find us on Facebook. Head on over there. Give us a like. Two Guys and Some iPads. Facebook page, Pinterest, Scoop It. I mean, if there's a social media website, we have an account. So head on to any of them and look us up and follow. And that way you can kind of keep up with what we're doing. But definitely Twitter at TechMinoc is the best way to get a hold of me.
Drew, can they find us on iTunes?
They can find us on iTunes. Head on over there. Give us a rating. Leave us a comment. If you don't like what we're doing, just keep it to yourself. I'm just kidding. But head on over there and give us a rating. That's for sure, and that's where you can find all of our recent and past podcasts.
Awesome. All right. Well, once again, thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. The Twitter feed was just wonderful.
Awesome tonight. Awesome tonight.
I mean, huge. The hashtag Two Guys Show. I wouldn't be surprised if it was trending.
Blame Drew, I think, is trending right now, too.
Blame Drew might be trending. Absolutely. You can get a hold of me. I am Brad Wade, but on Twitter, I am at TechBradWade. You can email me, techbradwade@gmail.com. And I just gave out the Instagram. You can check out our blog. Hey, Drew, what was the latest number on visitors to the blog? Just you texted me today?
Yeah, I hit 190,000 visits.
190,000. That's incredible, guys. And let's
get to 200K quick.
200K. I can't believe it. When we hit 10,000, we were amazed. So thank you. We were almost at 200,000 visits to our blog. So thank you. We're really honored and pleased to have you with us, not only on the EdReach Network, but on the Two Guys and Some iPads blog and reaching out to us on Twitter. So thank you again for joining us on the Two Guys Show on the EdReach Network on this cold day in January. Stay warm, everybody. And as always, Drew, thank you. It's always a wonderful show with you. And Rob, thank you for joining us tonight. Wonderful visit with you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Drew. It's been a pleasure. You're an inspiration.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate that.
We really appreciate it. Thanks, Rob, for joining us tonight. And thanks, Brad. And thank you, everybody. And we have next week off, but we are back February 11th with Tony Vincent, which I am real stoked about talking to him on February 11th. But just a reminder, we are off next Tuesday because we're running like 9 days in a row and we're taking a break.
9 days in a row. That's going to be about our only day off for a while. So thank you again. Have a great everyone. Thank you for joining us on the EdReach Network on the Two Guys Show. Thank you, Drew and Rob. And stay connected, my friends.